Perhaps you have heard the phrase, there's a payday coming someday. There's a day that is coming that is more than just payback or retribution or even judgment. Something even more powerful is about to take place. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10 Minute toward day one of Yishlach. We are in Genesis, or Bereshit, chapter number 32. Verse 1 says, And Yaakov went on his way, and the messengers of Elohim met him. And when Yaakov saw them, he said, This is the camp of Elohim. And he called the name of that place Mahananim. And Yaakov sent messengers before him to Esau his brother in the land of Seir, the field of Edom. That phrase, that he sent messengers, Vayishlach, sent ones. Shlikim, I think, is the word for those who are sent, such as the apostles have been sent. So we have this foundational understanding that there is to be an encounter between Yaakov and Esau, the first time in many years. And there is a necessity of sending messengers to prearrange, find out the details of what this encounter is going to look like. At least initially, as we get into this storyline this week, we will see that, again, initially and for a temporary period of time, there seems to be some sense of reconciliation between these two opposite-hearted individuals, brothers who are twins who have lived greatly different lives. And there seems to be a season of shalom between them. Now, it's not enduring, and not even in our day do we see that it is enduring. But when we talk about this particular day of encounter, a Hebrew phrase that is often used is bayom haHu. If you want to transliterate that, you could spell it capital B apostrophe Y-O-M, bayom haHu, H-A-H-U, in that day. When you read the prophecies over and again, you will see this phrase, and we read right on by it and not pay any attention to it, but it is referencing as a very specific time. And it will, in translation, say, and in that day it shall be. Well, the particular day referenced is not necessarily given a date. In that day, during the reign of a coming king, or when certain international circumstances are established, then this will take place. We're not necessarily given any of those parameters. Sometimes what we just simply hear is, in that day, it shall be. What day? Bayom haHu. There is a particular prophetic day in the future. And it may not just be a 24-hour period day. It could be a number of days stretched together, a particular season of time in which this long list of prophesied events and circumstances are going to become a reality. One of the prophets who wrote extensively in this mindset is the prophet Zechariah, or as we would say, Zechariah. In Zechariah chapter 2, verse 11, we read, And many nations shall be joined to Yahweh when? Bayom haHu, in that day. And they shall become my people. Now think about what he just said there. Many nations, the word nations, goyim, Gentiles, there's going to be a great many converted individuals from their previous goyim, Gentile, national lifestyle, living among the nations, opposed to perhaps what Yah's word would require, his Torah would teach, And many of these people in that day, in that particular prophetic time frame, that they're going to become Yah's people. So there is going to be a mass conversion of some sort. And he says, as a result, I will dwell in your midst, and you will know that Yahweh Zavaot, Yah, the master of the armies of heaven, the master of hosts, has sent me to you. Then in chapter 9, in verse 16, Zechariah prophesies again, and he says, and Yahweh, their Elohim, shall save them by Yom haHu, in that day, as the flock of his people, for the stones of a diadem sparkling over his land. There is going to be a sense of rescue. Excuse me, my nose is itching today. Again, in chapter 12, in verse 3, a bit more sombering. And by Yom haHu, in that day, it shall be that I make Jerusalem, a very heavy stone for all peoples. All lifting it are severely injured, and all the nations of the earth shall be gathered against it. We normally hear it understood that when it says all the nations of the earth will be gathered against it. I don't know if it's every single existing nation on the planet except for Israel is all gathered on one side against Israel, or whether it's all the nations that are in the Middle Eastern sphere of regional territory. We don't like to think about our nation. Americans don't want to think about America being rallied against Israel, but current world events would allow you to understand very quickly how that could indeed very easily be a reality. Since the terrorist attack on Israel on October 7th of last year, you would think that the world would stand up in defense of Israel, and instead they turned on Israel. Unthinkable, unimaginable, but that's the way it worked out. In Zechariah 14, verse 8 and 9, we read, and by Yom haHu, in that day, it shall be that living waters flow from Jerusalem, half of them toward the eastern sea, and half of them toward the western sea, in summer as well as in winter. Very key verse here. And Yahweh shall be sovereign over all of the earth. In that day there shall be one Yahweh, and his name one. In that day there will be no more confusion about is he one, is he three, is he two, exactly how many is he, how is he, who is he. Yahweh will be revealed fully, completely through Yeshua our Messiah as Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh Sidkenu, Yahweh our righteousness, seated on the throne. In that day, everything and everyone has the potential, even those with the character like Esau, has the potential, the opportunity to be restored to their righteous purpose, reconciled to Yah's design and his desire. You might think, well, I could see that in your list of perceived righteous individuals. I can see that they would be included. Let's also be reminded that there are going to be those then that Yah will include in that day, by Yom haHu, who we would write off right now. Matter of fact, let's look at it this way. There are those who would write you and I off, you and me, and we would not be included in the days of restoration according to their vantage point. Yah's not asking for our permission. He's not asking for our opinion. He's not asking us for our name list. There is a time of restoration, even for those who currently are living as an Esau kind of character. Do not underestimate the restorative, redemptive, renewing power of the Most High, even being displayed in the worst of us. And thank you, Father, that you display it for us. Let's rejoice in that today. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.